Hey everyone, how you doing today? All right. So I came across this site and had some interesting statistics on porn, so I figured we would take a look, do something a little different. We've covered this before, but I mean, it's still around, so we'll still have to deal with it. Let me pull it over here. So, I'm not sure if this is the best site or not. It's just one that I found, but definitely interesting, so we can talk about it. Let's look at this. I mean, it's essentially a scourge on society. It's proof of the fact that this world is fallen. Like, if you ever needed proof, this is it. This is it right here. Because this is allowed. Because our politicians don't stop it and people consume it, right? There's supply, there's demand, so there's your proof right there. And then all the ill effects that it has on society as a whole and how it basically corrupts our minds. So we'll take a look. This, I knew it was bad. I didn't know it was quite this bad. So 90% of children ages 8 to 16 have viewed porn. That is insane. 8 years old, even 16 years old, any age. It's horrible for everyone. It destroys your mind, destroys marriage, destroys relationships, pollutes your mind. You can't even hear like innocent phrases without thinking of sex. That's how polluted your mind is. It's proof. We'll take a look here in a bit. But 90% of children ages 8 to 16 have viewed porn. And I wonder what the percentages are of those people that watch porn that continue to watch porn their entire lives, or even for a bulk of their lives. You know? How many of those kids? Because it's addicting, right? They go look at it. I don't know what it does, the brain chemistry and all that. But obviously the act of, coming to completion, it's enjoyable, right? It's designed for a marriage after a relationship of getting to know each other, but people circumvent the system. They jump ahead and they do, debaucherous things like this. But 90%. So pretty much every kid, 9 out of 10 kids that you see from 8 to 16 years old, don't think about it, but just understand that they viewed porn. So you can only imagine what they do when people aren't looking. And a lot of people have phones now and computers, so it's everywhere. And then those kids, like I said, they're growing up, right? Who knows what the percentage is, but I'm sure a good percentage of those people will still be watching porn when they're 16, 26, 36, 46, 56, who knows, 66, maybe. The largest consumers of pornography, this is crazy. The largest consumers of porn are between 12 and 17-year-old boys, to be specific. I'm sure females look at it too, but the largest consumers, 12 to 17-year-old boys. So since 90% of 8 to 16-year-olds are viewing it, and 12 to 17-year-old boys are the largest consumers, per this information, you can just imagine that almost every 12 to 17-year-old boy you see is watching porn. Destroying their mind, destroying their soul, making them dress inappropriately, making them have false assumptions of what their future wife should look like or how they should interact with females. It's all being distorted through pornography. And it's probably not a one-time thing. It wasn't for me when I grew up. I've already talked about it. I've looked at it. I grew up just like you. So I made all the same stupid mistakes. Not all of them, but some of the same stupid mistakes you have. So pretty much every 12 to 17-year-old boy, per this information, is doing things they really shouldn't be doing. And viewing things they shouldn't be viewing, which is changing who they are. Because currently, you are just a product of your mind, right? Which is influenced by sin. And if pretty much all the boys are, 12 to 17 are looking at this stuff, their view of women and men is changing drastically. It's changing their view of the world. It's shaping this place. Pornography has pretty much created this place. It's proof of your fallen world. If you ever needed proof, all you have to do is look at porn. It's one of the greatest sins you can commit. Changes everything about you, how you view the world, how you interact with the world, how you treat people, others. And it's free. Yeah, that's $1 billion industry and people make lots of money, but they make sure that you can get it for free. Why? To get you hooked on it. So that they can eventually make money off your sin, but they want you to view it. The dark forces in this world, and darkness is just the lack of light. They don't have light in them. They're full of darkness. All they chase is money and possessions and sex and power and things like that. They're not full of light, not God's light. And they want to darken your soul, who you are. They want to darken you, right? God gives you light, right? The other one wants to take your light. They like darkness, which is the absence of light. So the people filled with darkness, they don't have light. They want you to have access to this for free. They don't want to put it behind a paywall. They want to get you hooked. They want to get in your mind. They want to pollute your mind, pollute your soul. That's why they create this garbage. And it destroys you and people around you and society as a whole. Everything gets destroyed by porn. The people that make money off it, the people that are involved, the children that get pulled into it, the children that are polluted by it. Nobody gets out unscathed from porn. No one. It gets all of you. No matter what dirty little hand you have in this industry, even if you're just a free consumer, it's destroying you and the way you view the world and your soul. It's dirtying your mind. Your mind is filthy. You can't even hear normal, everyday words without connecting it with sex in your mind. And we'll take a look at some of those triggers later on. We'll see if we can keep this under an hour. I don't know. We'll see. 70% of men ages 18 to 34 visit a porn site in a typical month. That could be higher. I don't know when these stats are from. That could be higher. Even if it's not, even if it's only 7, even if it's 1%, it's too much. Because then 1% of the people here are lost, living in sin, living full of darkness instead of light, which is not what you want. 70%, 18 to 34. And it seems very specific. Oh, there's some women in here too, but it seems skewed toward men. I don't know if that's accurate. I'm sure they've checked the internet traffic. I know there are women out there with this issue too. 1 in 6 struggle with porn. If that's true, hey, congrats to the 5 females that aren't doing it. That's insane. If the stats are that skewed towards men than female, I wouldn't have expected that. I thought it would have been somewhat similar, but I'm a guy, so I don't know. But if it's only 1 in 6, it's still too many, but that's way better than the men are doing. That's for sure. Shh, stop. 25% of search engine requests are for, wow. So I guess that's overall. So 25% of every internet search is porn. All of them, just clicking away and doing whatever they're doing. 25%. Wow. It's insane, isn't it? Now you know where you are. They don't call it a fallen world for nothing. Look at this. Porn is something that everyone knows exists, but you kind of laugh it off like, oh yeah, it's porn. Yeah, we looked at that. Look at that. Yeah, but you don't know what it's doing to your mind. You don't know what it's doing to your soul. How it's changing the way that you interact with people. How it's changing what you expect your wife to do in the bedroom. What kind of disgusting things do you expect from your wife because of nasty porn that you've been watching? Right? You want to spice up the bedroom. Right? You want to spice it up with what? With sin and debauchery and darkness? That's not spice. That's trash. That's trash from your soul that you've consumed through your eyes, right? You've consumed through your eyes sin. And now it's in your mind because you've watched it for so long and you've talked about it and you've joked about it and laughed about it. You've consumed so much of that porn. It's in your mind. It's attached to your soul. It's the reason you can't have a normal conversation with someone and hear about certain trigger words without immediately thinking of sexual, disgusting things in your mind. The words aren't the issue. The statements, right? Somebody bending over to pick something up. Someone says, oh, this cupcake, it's really moist. It's really good. Right? The word and the act of someone natural, right? Someone baking, someone bending over to pick something up. Those aren't the issue. The issue is your filthy mind. Right? I had the same issues from watching this crap for so many years of my life and for being here in this culture, in this fallen world, living like this world. Right? It's one of the reasons you have, cheerleaders out in football games dressed like strippers or something, like jumping around. It's just a sexualized culture. It's dirty. This place is dirty. It's filthy. And you don't even realize it because you're used to it. That's why you have a problem with a baker saying that something is moist. That isn't the issue. The issue is your filthy mind. Your mind is dirty. And it's going to take a long time to clean it up. It's not an overnight process. You have to completely give up on porn forever, for the rest of your life. You never look at it again, right? And that's going to include some movies you watch, because the movies, movie industry, music, everything, it's hypersexualized. And a lot of it goes back to pornography. Because your mind is so dirty, you end up making movies that are dirty. You end up making songs that are dirty and nasty. This place is filthy. And that's why nonsense like this is promoted. Not only promoted, you make money off of it. You're destroying people's souls and their minds and how they think. And it controls everything. Once you control someone's mind, you control everything they do. You control their actions. Once you have your mind, once they have your mind, that's it. You're going to do things. You're going to treat your wife or your husband in such a way as to mimic some disgusting thing you've seen in porn. You're going to expect them to dress a certain way in the bedroom. You know, what do they call it? Like a queen in the streets, freaking in the sheets, whatever these stupid terms are. You're going to make your husband or wife do debaucherous, nasty things because your mind is dirty. It's polluted from living here. You've been here too long. And granted, we'll get it fixed. But it's going to require all of us to change individually. We're all going to have to change our minds, which is controlled by what you hear and see and people you interact with. So this has to be gone. We're not getting a new earth full of pornography. It'll never happen. So all your politicians, legislators, whoever's controlling these businesses, whoever's making money off them, who's ever working in the industry, who's ever consuming it, you all need to stop. Because you're not getting a new earth full of porn. It'll never happen. This place will never be holy if this industry is allowed to even exist. This industry cannot exist. I understand you have free will. So take your free will and do the right thing. Don't ever consume it. Don't pay for it. Don't work in it. Don't profit from it. If they even had stocks, don't invest in them. That industry needs to go. It needs to be completely gone. Because there's no way to fix this place with this around. And granted, everyone could just decide that, hey, we're never going to do anything regarding porn. Never going to watch it. Never going to view it, invest in it, be involved in it, talk, everything. Just cut it off entirely. That would work. But you have people that are filled with darkness. And all they want to do is make money and get material things and make people sin because they're horrible people and they're full of darkness. And because they're full of darkness, they want you full of darkness, right? Misery loves company. So if you have someone full of darkness, they want you full of darkness, which is why they're going to give you free pornography, just like a drug dealer. They give you little drugs for free, right? Get you involved, get you hooked. They want to get those hooks in. Once they get those hooks in, you're theirs. So it has to be abolished. Now, until that happens, because a lot of your politicians are corrupt anyway, so, to get them, and a lot of them are disgusting and dirty because they've had access to power and money for far too long. So then you end up with your Jeffrey Epsteins and all the people that he's corrupted, right? All the children that have been abused. right? He wasn't dealing with normal people like us, right? Normal people, granted, I'm not working right now. I kind of am, but you get what I mean, right? Like normal, like working, blue collar people. He's dealing with the ultra rich, the people that have, the people that have had everything for the longest time, and they get bored, right? They get bored with everyday life. They get bored with having multiple partners. They want to spice it up, right? They want to get into like having little kids do debaucherous things, destroying those kids for life, and the mental scars going to put on them. That's what happens. That's why it's a sin. It's called greed. Greed and lust, you put those together, lust for power, it's awful. It creates awful people. So yeah, while you can wait on your politicians to fix this issue, which should be tomorrow, or today actually, you can just control you for now. You, your family, your friends, people you associate with, let them know. We're not fixing this place. It's impossible if you allow things like this to go on. Right? With pornography in the picture, we're not getting a new earth. We're going to have the same pit we've been living in. Because it's disgusting and it's full of junk like this. Sorry. So, now this is quite upsetting. For obvious reasons. I don't know how accurate it is. Who knows? It might even be low. Because men are men, right? And women are women. They're people. We're living in this place as it stands today. 50% of pastors regularly look at porn. For those, and I know that's a generic term, pastor, and there's different terms. I don't care. 50% of pastors, religious leaders, whatever you'd like to call them, if you're looking at porn, you need to quit today. You need to call your boss, or if you're the boss, just quit. Clear your desk out and go home. Because you have no place preaching to people. If you're watching pornography, consuming it, laughing about it, you're creating it, who knows? Right? If you are in any way involved in pornography, you have no business teaching anyone about God. None. You're the problem. So if this is correct, 50% or more, who knows, of pastors, religious leaders, you're the problem. If you're consuming this, and then you go out and lie to your parishioners and pretend like you're this holy person, and you're looking at porn, we'll get into some of the things on porn and like how disgusting it is, but you should quit. You owe it to God to quit if you're doing this. Or the other option is you stop doing it, because you cannot look at porn, consume porn, and be involved in the church or be a representative of God, right? Be on God's team. You're working for God, right? Trying to be God's hands and feet here, trying to help people, guide them out of this pit, right? Or change it, preferably. Because who wants to wait, right? Why wait? Just get it done now. Just change this place. But you can't do that if you're consuming pornography as a pastor. You're a religious leader of some sort, whatever title you want to use, right? You can't look at this stuff. How are you preaching about pornography? How are you going to be out there preaching about porn? Are you even preaching about it? Because I'll bet you the people that are consuming the pornography, you can probably find them because they're the ones not talking about it. Or they're just liars, hypocrites, and they're out there looking at porn, right? Right before the sermon. I don't know when they do it, but before the sermon, they're checking things out, right? Then they go out there and preach to you about porn. But I would guess that the people doing it probably don't want to be complete hypocrites, so they just won't talk about it, right? They won't talk about pornography. They'll just, leave that one aside. Leave that for the parents who are probably watching porn too. So if you're one of these 50% of these religious leaders and you're trying to direct people to God, you should quit today because you don't deserve the job. And if you're getting a paycheck, you don't deserve it. You shouldn't do it even for free. I don't even want you in the church if you're looking at porn. Because you're doing the same stuff that is destroying this place. The same things that created this pit that we're sitting in currently, as of today. That's what you're doing. So no, you cannot be, you cannot be guiding God's children if you're doing that kind of stuff, right? If your hands are unclean, right? If you have unclean hands, then you cannot be guiding God's children. That's not a thing. So I don't know how accurate this is. Maybe it's higher, maybe it's lower, but it doesn't matter. You either quit doing things, right? Quit consuming sinful material, debaucherous material that is soul destroying, that will darken your soul. You quit that, or you quit working in the church, whatever you want to call it. Whatever kind of religious work you're in, you quit. You can come back and apply for your job after you get right. Right? You fix yourself, then you can apply for the job. But until then, you don't deserve it, and you shouldn't be leading people. So let's go down here. $10 to $14 billion is spent on porn annually. I wonder what you could do with that money. The same amount that the U.S. government, there we go. Same amount that the U.S. government spends on foreign aid. Sorry. We won't even go into the reasons why countries need foreign aid from the U.S. because that's a whole nother rabbit hole we could go into as far as trade policies and, resource extraction and exploitation, things like that, and colonialism. So that's a whole different, I don't have time for that. I'll barely get this in an hour. But why countries need foreign aid from the U.S. and other Western countries is very interesting, especially if you take it back to colonial times up to now. But we'll stick with porn right now. So $10 to $14 billion annually is spent, right? Of which the government, I'm assuming, gets tax money on, right? So your government is funded by pornography to some degree, just like alcohol. Your government doesn't mind making money off sins. It's one of the reasons I never want to get rid of them. Not to mention they're probably all doing this too. Not all. But some percentage, whatever that percentage is probably watching porn, sleeping with underage kids, right? You've seen that in the press recently. Doing horrible things, visiting strippers, just being human beings. But they make money on sin. Because even like stripping or whatever, where it's a cash business, a lot of that, they still have to go out and consume things, right? So you get your sales tax. So as odd as it sounds, the government makes money off of sin. Like a sin tax, basically. They're making money off it, which is insane. But it's not even so much that it shouldn't exist, right? In a society, like if you want to create a new earth, if you want to turn this from a pit into a paradise, if you want to do that, you'd have to get rid of sin. There'd be no reason to have it, right? There's no reason to have pornography. Why? Because you have free will? Well, so what? You have free will to do good things. You don't have free will to do bad things. That's not what it's for, right? That's why you have the difference. You have darkness and you have light. And darkness is the absence of light. So you have free will, you should be gravitating towards the light, correct? That's what God would want. So you shouldn't be creating businesses, industries, and practices that push people into darkness, right? Darkness, you have a pit. In light, you have a paradise. That's it. And I'll let you judge where this place is today, but it's not good. So $10 to $14 billion a year being spent on darkness, on sin, which pollutes your mind. And we'll get to that in just a second. So what else could you do with that money? What's the financial opportunity cost? I don't know. You could feed the homeless. You could boost the medical systems. You can make those better. Basically help out poor people that are struggling. That should be your first thing. Help out people on the bottom and try to raise them up. Maybe they need alcohol addiction counseling, industries that shouldn't exist, right? We shouldn't be selling alcohol. We shouldn't be selling narcotics and drugs and things like that. Those are all things you do in a pit. In a pit, you have pornography, legal, normalized, everywhere. Most people are doing it, right? That's what you do in a pit, right? You'd have alcohol and drugs and people partying and dressing like strippers. Starting to make sense yet? That's what you would see in a pit. I mean, no flames, Take the flames away and make it look, as pretty as possible. But you would have rampant pornography, which is in the norm. Everyone's doing it. Most people. Drugs, alcohol, sex, people dressing any old kind of way, like they have certain professions. Those professions would be legalized some places, right? Inconvenient children could just be aborted. These are things you would see in a pit. Those are not things that you would see in paradise, in a new earth. Not this place. A new place, a beautiful place, full of light. Not darkness, full of light. And I think we both know what state this place is in today. I hope it's obvious by now. It should be. But there's a lot of opportunity cost things you could do with that money, helping out the poor, addiction counseling, fixing the medical system. That's a whole other video, and I'll have to look into that one more. But yeah, it's awful. So every second, 28,000 people view porn. Every second. So I'm no mathematician. I've been going for what? 20 some odd minutes maybe by the sand there. It's not exact. That's a lot. That's a lot of people. Imagine the dirty things that have happened while you're watching this video, right? What people are watching. What are they doing right now with their hands? What are they doing while you're watching this video? It's disgusting, isn't it? That's not as disgusting as what they're looking at. What they're doing is disgusting, right? An immoral, spilling their seed. That's technically sex out of marriage, right? They're not married. They're looking at horrific things that we will go into in just the top level. We're not going to get too deep down in that darkness. Every minute, 184,500 are spent on porn. I should have found some kind of second calculator. That would have been cool to have up here, right? So while you're watching this video, 20-ish minutes in, look how much money's been made on pornography. And that's not including the free porn that they use to hook you, right? They get the hooks in. That's how it works. So imagine how much money and how much pornography and disgusting things have been viewed, and how many people have been abused making those videos while you've been watching this. Just this. Not including all the time that, we've been watching sports and playing games and all this other stuff. Like, just in this video, how much has happened. It's horrific. All right. I just wanted to get those quick hits on there. A little bit more statistics, not too much, and then we're going to get into the other stuff. Oh, VR porn. Yeah, here we go. So it's projected that VR porn should be a $1 billion business by 2025. Well, hopefully not. We'll see. It's a third behind the expected 1.4 billion virtual reality video game market and the 1.23 billion VR NFL. Is that the football league? Is that what that is? NFL related content. I think that's what it means. I don't know. Yeah, so here we go. So like time sinks. I guess we'll get into that. Like time sinks, sloth, that kind of stuff. But VR porn, I'll be honest, I've seen it. So I know what regular porn looks like. And this is the thing, right? I've screwed up a lot in my life. Lots. And now, because everything's happened, everything has played out, I know why that happened, but it doesn't subtract from the fact that I didn't know at the time. So it's not like I did it for altruistic reasons like, oh, I'm going to screw up really badly. I'm going to really mess this up so that later I can talk about it and I'll have something to talk about, right? Because honestly, what would you have in common with a perfect representative of God, right? Perfect Christ. What would you have in common with them? We live here, right? We live here. What would we have in common with a perfect person? Not much. You'd look at that person like an alien, like, what is this person? He's never sinned? Never? Not even once? Like growing up, he didn't sin at all? That doesn't make any sense. Here, it doesn't. Look at the culture. How could you not sin? Everything here is trying to get you to sin. Look at the advertising. Look at the movies. Look at the music. Everything here is trying to get you to sin. So it'd be really difficult to come here and not sin. Really, in the current state. I'm not saying future state. I'm saying in current state. As is. The as is setup. How could you come into this world and not sin? You'd have to be like in some city that's cut off from the world and cut off from the internet and cut off from cable companies and the music industry. You'd have to live in a bubble to live here and not sin. As sad as that sounds, it's true. Maybe the Amish, maybe they're the closest so far. I don't know. I haven't traveled a lot, but you can see why they live in tight-knit communities like that. Because how else could you get this world out of your life? Because this world is sin. Large parts of it. There's good parts of it. There's good people. But large parts of this world are extremely sinful. So you kind of understand why like the Amish people kind of segregate themselves, and certain cults and things will like segregate themselves, because you can't be for God. It's impossible really to be for God and for this world, right? Because God is all about the light and paradise. And this world, as it stands today, is for the pit and the darkness, right? That's the current state of affairs, if you will. I'm sorry to tell you, you should know it, but if you don't, I'll go ahead and say it. So that's why, like, Amish and people, I'm not picking up the Amish, but you understand like why they would kind of segregate themselves from this world, because you don't want to be from this world. You don't want to be like this place, because this place is dark, which just means the absence of light. That's it. And God is light, right? That's God. So VR porn, getting back to that, porn is addictive enough. Clearly, if you look at the statistics, it's addictive enough. And how many guys out there watching this? I'm sure there's some, and hey, congrats. You did better than I did. How many guys out there, or girls, right? Both, guys and girls. How many of you watching this video can honestly say you have never watched pornography and you have never masturbated? Not one time. Not once. Now, most people probably can't say that. And most people don't even want to try to add up how many times they've done it. Some of you have probably done it today. But think about that. How many of you have never done it? Not even once. And then for the other people, like, how many times have you done it total? Try to add that up. And now some of you have probably done it today. Who knows? But it's that addicting, is my point. It's that addicting. And even if you don't watch porn, right? The movies, isn't that basically pornography now anyway? Have you watched a few of these movies? Right? Talk about pushing the boundaries. The movie industry, there are good movies out there. I like to watch movies sometimes, not too much, but there are good movies out there. But that industry is like soft porn. A lot of these movies, you'll start watching it. There was one that came out recently. It was disgusting. I don't even want to name it. I don't want any people to go watch it, right? There were some good aspects of the movie because it showed like how awful like rich people can be and how selfish and greedy they can be. So that part of it, I kind of liked. The sexual stuff was absolutely disgusting. And it reminded me of watching a porno. I couldn't even watch. I was like this. I'm like, come on, get this scene over with. Let's go. It was a good, bad example in many ways. So as far as like the times that we're living in and what's acceptable in contemporary society and what people think makes a movie, it was a great, horrible example. But awful. But it just shows you like movies and pornography, they're so close now. It's basically the same thing. And then it goes down to even lower levels, right? Just the dress, just the way people dress. You see people, girls and boys out walking around, and they look like they're about to make a porno, right? Because their dress is so high or so tight, and their top is so tight and so high, and they're basically just walking around almost naked. They look like, you know how they used to have flash mobs back in the day? They would have flash mobs, they bust out and they just start singing and dancing. It looks like they're about to do like flash pornography, like a flash mob in porn. Like the way they dress, it's like someone's got a secret camera and they're about to bust out and just start making moves all over the place. That's how they're dressed. Men and women dress like sexual objects. They look like they're stars in a porno movie. That's how they're dressed. Especially like I watched this one guy. He goes out to he's funny. I like watching him. He goes out to the clubs and he does the street evangelism, but he does he does it like right next to the clubs. It's hilarious. You go see these people out there and he's talking to them and they look like they're working in the porn industry or they're strippers or, night walkers, whatever you want to call them. That's how they dress. You literally dress like a sexual object, like you are working in the porn industry and you're going out to a club, which you're just trying to make other people lust. And I guess you want to see other people make you lust. And then you're more than likely going to, who knows, drugs, alcohol, premarital sex. It's absolute debauchery. It's exactly what I would expect to see here. It's not funny. It's sad, but it's just amusing the way he does it. But yeah. So, you should at least know where you are. And it doesn't mean that we can't and will change this, because I don't want to live in a pit. I want to live in paradise. But I don't want to wait. I figure we should go ahead and create it here. Right? Go ahead and make it here. Get your new earth that everybody wants. Because I'm tired of watching people walk around like they're about to create a porno movie. See-through, super tight, skin everywhere, scandalous, and it's everywhere. I can barely look at a news feed without seeing some article with a girl dressed like she shouldn't be doing. I almost wish you could get a news app that like filters all the trash out, that just gives me news. I don't want to see any sexualized images. I don't want any trash talk, anything. I don't want to hear about reality TV, nothing. You could shave out the sports. I don't need any of that. Just give me like international news. That's all I want. I don't want to see any girls bent over or guys bent over and workout photos. I don't want to see any of that. I just want news. That's all I want. I haven't found a news aggregate like that yet. It's all got trash intermingled in with it. Going back to VR porn. So it's extremely addicting, obviously. And it's free for a reason, because they want to get that darkness in you, in here, right? They want to get the hooks in. Get the hooks in. VR porn is way worse. It's like with 3D compared to 2D or whatever. It's way worse. It's immersive, just like the video games or the NFL. I guess that's sports they're talking about. So it's the same thing. It's very immersive. I do like I used to do, I don't want to do it at all anymore, but the flight simulators. And I may have tried VR like once or twice, but it's the same concept, right? It's very immersive. You can look around, it's 3D. So you can just imagine how much more addicting that's going to be while you're doing what you shouldn't be doing when it's 3D and you can look around as opposed to just looking at your screen. It's going to be even more addicting, and it's going to pollute your mind. And it's going to pollute what you expect your wife or husband to do, how you expect them to dress, how you expect them to act. It's going to change you. It's going to literally change who you are. If you had a version of you that grew up with no porn, you would not be you today. You would be a completely different person. If you grew up in an Amish community, your soul would look different than it does today, because you would be different. I'm not saying that Amish is the way, just giving, that's an example I can think of where they kind of segregate themselves a little and, there are very Puritan aspects to it. And, hopefully like no porn, no alcohol, things like that, no drugs, just very pure and clean. Not like this place at all. Very pure and very clean. This place is more of a dark-oriented location, not a light-oriented location. And that's the problem. So, but for that to change, we all have to change. All of us. If we don't change, this will always be a pit. Always. So VR porn, absolutely not. You're not going to be looking at porn anyway, right? So it doesn't matter. But then, the VR video games, they're very immersive. Be very careful if you play them, how much time you're playing them, because, we got the sloth to worry about. We don't want to be too slothy. So We all struggle with this stuff. I game a little bit. I've definitely gamed way more than I should have growing up. That's for sure. I do a little bit now, not much. Probably wean off that eventually anyway. But NFL, same thing. It's a time sink. Be very careful. And there's opportunity costs. So all the time that you're spending, watching sports and video games, no porn. Porn's just gone anyway, right? Video games, it's opportunity cost. So it's like, what could you be doing, with that time? So just be very, very careful. And sports, same thing. Time cost, money cost, all of it. You got anything here worth talking about? Oh yeah, we're running a little short on time here. 13 billion just in the US. That's not global video sales, rentals, internet sales, cable, pay-per-view, phone sex. Disgusting. Yeah, phone sex. And then they have the cam girls and stuff. I've done some nasty stuff. I've been here to make mistakes so I can recycle them. I never went that far. And I told you before, I went into a strip club a couple times in my life. And I just got to the point where I always felt bad for them. I would watch them. I would feel so sorry for them. You're up there defiling yourself and your body and your soul. You're just covering yourself in darkness and just objectifying your body and it's just degrading what they were doing to themselves. And I was watching it. I felt so dirty, but I felt even worse for them. I felt super dirty and nasty for being in that place. It's just disgusting and everything looks sticky and it's dark and they got the music going and there's alcohol and it's like being in hell. You're walking around and these people look like little demon children walking around with everything hanging out and everyone's drunk and on drugs and everyone's seedy and you got the bodyguards or whatever, the people working the door and there's just drugs and nasty. It's just disgusting. It looks like hell. It's what you would expect to see in hell, minus the flames. To get the flames out of there, but that's what it looks like. Everyone looks seedy and nasty and they're all over the place. And everyone's at the bar, just drinking alcohol and laughing uncontrollably. It's horrible. But I would always feel bad for them. I just felt horrible for them. As dirty as I felt like they should feel dirtier. So I just felt it's just horrible. And that's the industry, right? And so I could never do the webcam girls and all that. I never did that. No way. I couldn't do it. I couldn't in person. I was nasty enough to do it behind the computer screen and watch it. And even with the VR, I even dabbled with that towards the end. But because I was into the flight simulators, right? So I ended up getting the VR helmet. And then, I was already looking at the other stuff. So, hey, what are you going to do? So you try that. Awful. That's how I know how addicting it is. And then pay-per-view, phone sex, exotic dance clubs, the worst. That is hell, personified. That's it. And then you're going to pay them extra. And I never did this either, but I know people get lap dances and stuff. No way. I feel bad enough for this girl already. At least in my case, I was a guy. I feel bad enough for this girl already. She's defiling herself. She's covering her soul in darkness. And she's causing others to trip. She's making everybody else around me trip and fall. She's making them sin while she's being a great sinner herself. Not that she can't save herself. Yes, of course, you can do it today. Do it today. Just stop. But at the time, she's defiling herself. She's defiling everyone else in this pit of sin, this den of iniquity. She's defiling everyone in the organization, everyone there, all of them. They're all covered in it. And their minds are being infected. And then they have lap dances. Some girl you don't know who's maybe on drugs, alcohol, probably watches porn. Who knows what's going on in his or her life? Who knows? You got this person riding all over you and you're stuffing dirty money into their thong, whatever's going on there. Right? And then some of these people, they will ride them until things happen. I'm sure you understand what I'm talking about. No, I never went that far. I made a lot of mistakes, but I could never do that. That was too hands-on. So thankfully I never did that. Magazines, novelty stores. Oh yeah. Novelty stores. So how many disgusting, dirty things have you made your wife do, or your husband, or your girlfriend or boyfriend, which you shouldn't be doing, but it happens, right? People sin, especially here. It's very seductive. It's a very dark place, and it's hard to walk around in this place without getting some sin on you. Most people are covered in it. It's very hard not to get any on you. So let's talk about the novelties, right? I'm not going to go through a list of all the dirty, disgusting things, right? You know, you've probably seen the sites. You probably have some of this stuff in your drawers at the house, right? You probably still got some of this stuff in your house. You shouldn't be masturbating, so you shouldn't have it anyway. But maybe you're doing like the group thing, right? Trying to spice it up. Well, where did you get those ideas from? You got those ideas from all that porn you're watching and all those dirty movies you're watching, right? You watching all that stuff, it gets in your mind. And then you're like, I want my wife to do this. I want my wife to do these positions and do this and wear this and all these dirty, nasty things. You're turning your wife or your husband into a hooker. Because in your dirty mind, that's what you want. Because you've been programmed by pornography and by music and by movies and all these other industries. That's why you're convincing your wife or your husband to violate orifices that shouldn't be violated, right? There's two things there. One's meant for eating and one's meant for getting the food out of your body. That's what they're meant for. They're not sexual entrances and exits. But I know because of all the porn you've been watching that you're trying to convince your husband or wife to do dirty, nasty things in the bedroom and dress a certain way because in your mind it's filthy and you probably don't realize it. That's what you want. You want your husband or wife to dress up like a young, dirty person doing dirty things that are nasty, things that are sinful, things that you do in the pit. Those aren't things you do in paradise. Those aren't things of light. Those are things of darkness. It's not a color. Darkness is an absence of light. So all of the sin, what it does, because you're all created from God, you all have the ability to be full of light. That's how we're supposed to be, is full of light beings. But sin, what it does is it takes your light and it just keeps dimming it. It keeps dimming your light, keeps getting smaller and smaller. And eventually, your light is gone. Not to say that your light can't be rejuvenated. But this world, this place, as it stands today, will suck the light out of your soul. And all you're going to be left with is darkness. And then you'll belong in this pit. Not to say that it can't be changed, and it has to be. Because some people, they may not may not get out. So we'll have to change it. But you can just see some of these, right? 88% of the scenes in porn films contain acts of physical aggression and verbal aggression. Right. That's another aspect. And I'll go to my little cheat sheet here in a second. But so the novelty toys, the dirty, disgusting things you're having your wife or husband do. We won't even talk about boyfriends, girlfriends, because you shouldn't be doing it. But your wife is not a porn actress. I'm not sure if you, well, hopefully, maybe some are, but your wife should not be a porn actress. Your husband should not be a porn actor. Right? You shouldn't be doing nasty, disgusting things with your significant other because you saw them in a nasty, disgusting movie or video or web chat or who knows, strip club, wherever you're getting this stuff from. Wherever you put that poison into your brain, all that darkness, you need to pour it out. And the only way you're going to get that garbage out of your mind is to stop looking at it. Don't consume it, right? Don't listen to it. Don't see it. Don't be involved in it. Don't touch it. Don't ever get involved in it. Because all it does is steal your light. God's light that he put inside you, your potential, gets snuffed out by sin. That's what it does. It covers your light with darkness. And eventually your light just keeps getting dimmer and dimmer and dimmer. And eventually your light is gone. And you're just a citizen of the pit at that point, unfortunately. So you want to get that light back. And the only way you can get your light back is by getting the darkness out of you, off your soul, off your mind, right? You have to get the darkness out. You have to fill yourself back up with light. And you're never going to do that if you have anything to do with the pornography industry, because it's built on sin. It is a sin, and it destroys you and everyone around you. So no sex toys, no turning your wife or husband into a stripper and or sex worker, porn films. Absolutely not. And then the physical aggression. So let's jump over here. I think we've done enough with the stats here. This is just like monetary, showing how many billions of dollars are going into these industries. Some of these sites you probably know. You shouldn't, but you probably do. Incredibly dirty. Oh, let's go through some of these. So I'll go over here in a second. We'll get to this in a second. But first off, just to prove my point, and especially if you watch like sports a lot of the sports analogies or statements, things like that, metaphors, right? Sports metaphors, they'll be based on, you can tell a guy thought of them, right? Like football, we'll use football for example. It's kind of a male sport. Initially, I know it's more co-ed now, but it's very like male dominated. And a lot of the sports metaphors they sound like sexualized, only to you because your mind is filthy. But they're like normal words, but they sound dirty because your mind is dirty. That's the problem. So we'll go through a few of these here. Maybe you're familiar with some of these, right? He's definitely thirsty tonight. It's that cute little dog. The dog is thirsty, right? The dog wants some water. But to some people, that means something else entirely. And why? It's not the dog's fault. All right, the dog is thirsty. But thirst, there's nothing wrong with that word. It's a normal word. It's kind of like they co-opted the rainbow, which was God's symbol, right? It was something beautiful, and then it was changed into something that it is not, that is not beautiful, that is unnatural. But there's nothing wrong with the word thirsty. If there's something wrong with that, or you're thinking certain things in your mind, it's not the word. It's you. Your mind has been corrupted by this pit. That's why thirsty means something different to some of you than it actually means, which is you're parched, dehydrated, you need some water, right? That tea bag was actually better than the second time around. It's a tea bag. What's wrong with that? What are you thinking of? You can't help it, right? Right? I mean, you could put that tea bag in your mouth. It's not going to taste good. It's going to be really strong, right? It's a lot of tea. But, depending on how corrupted your mind is, where does your mind go when you see that tea bag just bouncing around, right? What are you thinking of? You can't help it. Your mind is corrupted. You can't help it. When you see that tea bag, I'm going to guess I know what you might be thinking about. And you can't stop it. You have no control over it because your mind's been infected. Because it's dark. You got darkness. This culture from this pit has corrupted your mind. Let's go through a few more. Let's see if you agree. The landscapers are coming over today to trim the bush, right? The bush is too bushy. You need to trim it down. The guy's out there taking care of his lawn, which lawn care is a whole different subject. We're not even going to go there right now because it goes to like lawn vanity, things you don't need to do. But there's nothing wrong with the word bush or trim. Right? Those are normal words. They're only dirty because you're dirty, because you've been here too long. And your mind is dirty from this place and pornography and movies and music and culture and the way people talk to each other, which is all driven by porn and movies and music. It is what it is, right? This isn't paradise. This is closer to a pit. And things like this will make you realize it. When your brain is so destroyed, your mind is so destroyed, there's so much sin in your body, so much darkness, you can't even look at normal terms, right? Trim, bush. Yeah, he's doing yard work, which yard vanity, that'll be a different video. But you see what I mean? My favorite animal is definitely the beaver. I think beavers are super cute. Look at that thing, right? Look how cute that thing is. He's doing what God intended him to do. Sit out there and build dams or whatever he's doing. There's nothing wrong with the beaver. The beaver's not the issue. The issue is your mind. It's polluted. I don't know what you're thinking about. Some people see a beaver and immediately they can't control their brain. Their brain is it immediately went to like nasty sexual thoughts. There's nothing wrong with that beaver. Look at it. There's nothing sexual about it. It's an animal. It's one of God's creations. Want a bone. This dog wants a bone. Right? What are you thinking of when you see that? When you look at that dog bone there, where is your mind going? You can't control it. You have no control over it. That's what you need to understand. You've been infected. Your mind has been hijacked. You can't help it. What do you think of that bone? Do you have any thoughts about it? A pearl necklace would look really nice on you. Not really, because it's ostentatious, it's luxury, no. There's a lot wrong with that, but to keep it on point, right? A pearl necklace would look really nice on you. What's wrong with that? There's a lot wrong with that. It goes back to luxury, right? Sin, gluttony. But you get the picture, right? I was really surprised by how big his package was. It's a guy delivering a package. Where does your mind go? Why is it that people can't talk about a package? Could a girl or, like, right? A nice girl come up to you and is like, hey, I got your package right here. In your mind, is it not involuntarily going other places? Not everyone. Some people are pure, and some people haven't been corrupted by this place. So to you, it's just a package. To other people, who knows where their mind goes, and they can't control it. They have no control over it. But you don't realize until you do exercises like this. I love sausage. Many things wrong with this, obviously, because it's not vegan. But, she's holding up there, and the dog and the guy are going at there. The sausage. Ooh. You can see your mind might be going places that it shouldn't go. If you're filled with light and not darkness, these are just normal things you would say. Like children, a child, you can say you love the sausage, and your child doesn't know what sausage is. It shouldn't even exist. But you get the picture, right? It's corrupted minds. I wonder what happens to nuts in space. I don't know. Maybe they can take them up there. I don't know. The atmosphere and everything, I'm not sure. I don't know what they do in space. But we were only riding for maybe 5 seconds before we were desperate to get off. Right. They're on the roller coaster. They want to get off. They've only been on there 5 seconds. It must have been a really good roller coaster. But if your mind is polluted by this culture in this pit, where does your mind go? Involuntarily, you can't control it. Right? You can't control it. Go watch a football game and listen to all the sports metaphors that they're talking about, right? Does your mind, do you not start giggling because your mind is polluted and it starts going places it shouldn't go? It's destroyed. This place has hooks in you. That's the problem. We were banging all night long. He's a drummer. They're banging on the drums. That's what they do, Who knows where your mind's going on that one? In an instant, she was dripping wet. And this goes back to like the baker, right? You got some girl, she's a baker. So a lot of girls, my ex used to bake. She hated the term moist. She hated it. I could never use it. She would always get offended. I was like, oh, these cupcakes are so moist. They were. I shouldn't be eating cupcakes. They had too much sugar in it, and she knew that. But, she was bad for me in a lot of different ways. But she would make these cupcakes and stuff like that. I'd tell her, like, these things are so moist. They're really good, because she would put applesauce in them. Instead of using eggs, she would use applesauce to kind of veganize them. And they were super moist. They were amazing. I'm glad she's gone, because my waistline's better. But she would get so offended. I'm like, why are you offended? I'm talking about baking. Baking. Well, what are you talking about? But in her mind was so corrupt and polluted. She was thinking of something else when I said moist. I'm talking about cupcakes. Okay? Cupcakes. I don't know where your mind is going. Cupcakes. We're baking here. No one's talking about sex. We're in a kitchen. There's no sex. You're just baking. But her mind, it's corrupted from this place. So dripping wet, same thing. What does it mean? It means you're dripping wet. Like the dog jumping in a pool or jumping out of a pool. Ever since she showed him what to do, he just loves tossing salad. You should be eating more salad. Right? You toss it and you eat it. It's what you do with salad. But where is your mind going? To something absolutely disgusting. Maybe. Hopefully not. Right? The most beautiful vegan thing you could be doing. No cheese, just the salad. You toss the salad and you eat the salad. That's what you do with it. It's good for your body. It's what you're supposed to be eating. That's why our teeth are nice and flat. So you can eat lots of salad. Get in there. Eat a lot of salad. But where is your dirty mind going? What are you thinking of? And you probably can't stop it. That's how screwed up you are. Sorry. That's how polluted your mind is. And I understand it because I spent many years darkening my light too. Filling my body with sin. Being involved in sin. Taking my light and just dimming it down till it's almost dead. But you can always get it back. You can always rejuvenate the light. But you can't do it when it's covered in sin. You have to get the sin off so that your light can flourish. That's how it works. Holy Spirit, the light, the Holy Spirit, the flame. Yeah, it gets dimmed down. Sin smothers it. You're going to smother it. But tossing salad, yeah, you should toss a salad right before dinner. Eat it. It's good for you. I was expecting maybe 4 inches, but he gave me more like 12. Someone went out to eat. All that meat shouldn't be on there. We're not going to go off. I've already done vegan videos, you know. But, right, she wanted a 4-inch sub. She got 12 inches instead, he or she. So what? We're talking about subs here. No one's talking about anything sexual. Unless your mind is absolutely destroyed and full of sin. And you know how you got that way? Pornography. Porn. Because you probably grew up as a little kid or, boy, girl, whatever, looking at porn. You're watching movies that are talking about porn, sexualized people walking around looking like strippers or ladies of the night or men of the night, right? It's the culture here. Do you want to live in paradise or do you want to live in a pit? Those are the choices you have. Granted, we're temporarily where we are, but we don't have to stay there. And obviously our bodies are term limited, so you need to think about the future too. So make sure you're looking at paradise, not the pit. But for those people that unfortunately won't be able to escape, we'll just have to create a new earth. So we'll have to go ahead and fix this place anyway. The power of the thrust was really remarkable, right? This is, they're trying to take off from the planet. They want to go up there and shoot satellites off or whatever they're doing. Carry some people up there. Okay, it makes sense. The power of the thrust was really remarkable. Yes, it was. You'd have to have that kind of thrust to get off the planet. He really needs to work on his ball handling. This is what I mean, like the sports metaphors. You'll see it a lot because a lot of guys are the announcers. I know it's getting better now. There's more females, but you almost see people giggle sometimes. You're like, oh, you didn't work on his ball work. But in your mind, without you being able to control it, where does your mind go? That's for you to answer. And then you need to realize why it's going there and how you can stop it. How can you purify your mind? All right? Because that's going to purify your soul. And it's based on what you consume with your eyes, and what you hear and what you say to people and who you interact with. You have to purify your life. You have to be kind of like the Amish, right? They kind of separate themselves from the world to a degree. And I'm not an expert on Amish people, so don't hold it against me. I just know that they try to live a very pure Puritan lifestyle. They try to be nothing like this place. And that's not a bad idea. It's a pretty good idea. Because this place sucks. It's full of sin. And it's dark. It's very dark. Shh. It's very dark. I tried everything, but he just kept slipping out. I don't know what they're doing. Oh, he's leaving. He's leaving the room. So he's trying to leave the room. She says, oh, he's slipping out. Most people that are pure, that are full of light, that are not full of darkness, it means exactly what it looks like. The guy's slipping out of the room. To other people who your minds are completely sexualized and dirty, who knows what it means to you? I'm sure he's tired. He spent all day on his knees. Maybe he's a painter or he's working on tile. Who knows what he's doing? Doing some kind of woodworking, things like that. Same thing. We won't go through it again. I was surprised by the sheer power of the semen. The semen. They work on the sea, right? That's what they are. They're seamen. So she tried his head in her hands and stroked it. Look how cute that picture is. It's cute. He tried everything but just couldn't get in. That's a hamster and some kind of tube. I'm not sure where they're going with that one. They're constantly involved in one intercourse or another. It's difficult to separate them for any length of time. Intercourse. Oh, like conversation. Yeah, they're conversating. So, right, they're in intercourse, right? They're talking to each other. Did you try blowing? The steam. They're probably blowing the steam off. Sodomy, we've talked about that one. It's absolutely a no. Absolutely. I'm coming in 2 minutes. The cat's on the way. Let's see. All right, so that's enough of that. Oh, no. All right. I think that's like an hour, I think. This is going to run long. Sorry. I'll turn it back over here. There we go. So we'll go again. I knew this one was going to run long, so I didn't lie to you this time. I didn't say I was going to keep it short. So let's go here. This won't take too long. I know it's kind of busy. It's not the best, but hopefully you can see that. So pornography. These are just a few things that I thought of. I'm sure there's sites that are better at doing this than I am. One of the things is child abuse. A lot of children get pulled into this, especially there's even sex tourism in other countries that are disgusting enough to allow this stuff, where you will let people go over there, and I guess it's legal or it's not enforced. I don't know, but there's people that will go to other countries just to have sex with little children. You are a disgusting piece of garbage, and I hope you get everything you deserve. I hope you get all of it. I hope God balances those scales for you. And I know that God will. Is there forgiveness? Yeah. Yeah, there's forgiveness. For some things. For other things, there are prices to be paid. You can and you should repent. You should stop and you should never do it again. And you should try to offset the wrongs that you've done in this world. But there are red lines. And this world would not be fair. Our existence, this experience would not be fair for everyone if there weren't, negative consequences for our actions. So if you're involved in child abuse, I hope that God humbles you and gives you everything you deserve, whether that's good or bad. That's up to God, not me. But I assure you that there are rules for a reason. And when you break rules, there are consequences. It can be good consequences for good actions or bad consequences for bad actions. It's simple, right? You pick it. Do you want the pit or do you want paradise? That's up to you. Your actions and consequences will be in line with each other. But a lot of child abuse and this stuff, because I remember from back when I was looking at porn, when you're looking at it, typically, they want these girls to look as young as possible. Even if they're 18, and you can debate ages and things like that. It's disgusting, no matter what. But even if it's legal, like in your country, they're going to push the limits because the people that run these industries, they want this to be a pit. They make money off the pit. They're aligned with the pit boss. They want this place to be a pit. They want to infect your mind and everybody else. They want you all out there drinking and smoking and being violent and killing people and all this sexual debauchery and raping and abusing kids. They want all that because they're evil and they're dark. They align with darkness. That's their team. They're on team dark. What is darkness? The absence of light. They don't like people like me and people like us, some of the people watching this. They don't like people, workers of the light. God's hands and feet. They don't like us. They don't want us here. They want us out. They want us forgotten about. They don't want us here. They like darkness. They like child abuse. They like taking advantage of people. They like being... Shh! They like being... Hold on. They like focusing on money, right? Money and power and fame and stuff like that. They're about this world. They love the pit. They're all about it. and they want you to belong here by covering you in sin. But a lot of these videos, they want these girls to look as young as possible. So even if they're 18 or whatever, they want them to look like they're 12. The way they dress them, it's disgusting. And they'll even make them, I can't even talk about it. But they try to make them seem as childish as possible, regardless of their age. And I guarantee you, they're not doing a great job. Not to mention, pornography is a global business. So you don't know where they're making those videos. So some of those girls that you're spanking off to are boys, right? They were probably kids, little children, and you didn't even know it. So unbeknownst to you, maybe they had a fake ID. You ever thought of that? So maybe they had fake IDs. So maybe that person that you were doing things, right, with your hands, you were thinking about things, you were doing things, you might have already virtually, interactively had sex with like a 14 or 15-year-old and not even known it, right? You might have already peddled with children and not even known it. And don't put it past the people that run these dark industries to do things like that on purpose. Why do you think they make them look as young as possible? Because they want you to be an absolute pervert just like they are. They want you to stay in the pit. They love the pit and they love company. And they want to make money off you. And they want to defile your soul. So they'll do things like that on purpose. Disgusting things. They will dress men up as women and put them in those videos just for the fun of it, to trip you up. It's disgusting. Sex trafficking. All of those girls, I would guess that all those girls aren't there voluntarily. Girls and guys. I know I'm a little biased, sorry. But the guys and girls, they're not all there voluntarily. They might have been groomed. They might have been drugged up, dragged into that industry. They might have had their souls crushed and devoured on purpose so that they would no longer see that industry as bad. They're full of so much darkness from what's happened to them here that they don't see anything wrong with it. It's all they know. Some people have grown up in this industry being used and abused daily. So, just so you know, things like that, do you think they happen in paradise? No, they absolutely don't. Things like that only happen in the pit. So, destroys young minds. We looked at the stats before. Don't have to go back into it. They get them young, right? You get them young. You want to get their minds and destroy them early in life. Pollute them early so that they grow up like this, so that they end up talking to their friends like this, so that they raise their kids like this. You want to get them young, and then they infect all the people around them. They talk to their friends, and they treat their wives and their husbands like this, and their kids, and they want to keep this place dark. Understand that. It's a spiritual battle. And don't be naive. There are people that aren't accidentally living with darkness. They love it. And in this place, it's allowed to happen. So, there are wolves out there. Nothing, it's a figure of speech, I know. Sorry, I love animals. But destroy young minds, get them young. Create sexualized culture. We talked about that. Even if you avoid pornography, even if you avoid it, try going to any of these like movie platforms or even watching a commercial, even going to church. Right? Their behaviors, how they're dressing seductively, how they're like walking seductively and doing things, how their mannerisms, how they're prancing around and just, accentuating things and all over and getting cosmetic surgery and all this nonsense, right? They're doing all this stuff and they're basically emulating actors that you've seen in porn, right? Sexualized images you've seen in porn. That's why the girls go out and they do things to the top and they do things to the back and guys too, right? And very manicured and they want to get buffed up and stuff. They're like emulating these people they've seen in these movies. These actors, they end up looking like pinup dolls, and girls and stuff like that, and boys. But they dress seductively. They dress for sex. They're out there objectifying their bodies. They're trying to hook people with their looks. Not what's inside, not the soul, not the light. Just what's on the outside. Superficial. So it changes, the culture changes. And then their behaviors change, how they act, how slutty they act. Like I told you, that one guy, he's out there doing street evangelism, like in the clubs. Like, 12, 2 in the morning, he's out there. Look at these people. Look how they're dressed. Look how they're acting, and look all the alcohol. It's just horrible. So the dress, the behaviors, movies and shows. Even if you avoid porn, you're going to watch probably a movie or two, right? You're going to see a movie. Look at the actresses. Look how they're laying all over the hood of the cars, the expensive cars, and they're wearing almost nothing. And you'll see. Once you see it, once you get the darkness off your eyes, right, and you start to see the light, you'll see this place for what it is. Not that it doesn't have potential. We absolutely need to fix it. But you got to see it for what it is first before you can change it. Because if you don't realize how dark it is, you won't see the difference between the darkness and the light, right? You have to recognize the darkness to realize that you need light. Because if you've lived here just like I did, you didn't see it. You just accepted it. You're like, well, yeah, there's porn. Yeah, people get murdered. I mean, yeah, there's rape and, robbery and stuff like that, and vanity and greed and lust. Yeah, it's just normal. Yeah, it's normal here. It's not normal in paradise, right? Here, it's normal. And it absolutely shouldn't be. And we have to fix that. So movie shows, it's an abomination to God. Yes. God's intention for us, if you choose to have children, would be inside of a marriage. For multitudes of reasons. There's other people that go into descriptions about that and how it's great for the child because that's the way it was supposed to be done. And you have the parents, both parents in the life and steady income and things like that. That's a whole different video. But it's an abomination to God. You shouldn't be having sex outside of marriage because then it just becomes casual and you're going to run into like STDs and you need these high body counts and you're never probably going to get married and it's not going to work out. And it's just not the way it's designed. If you want to live a debaucherous lifestyle, you're in the right spot. But it's an abomination because of all the lust and adultery that comes with it and the disgusting acts that go along with it. I mean, think about it. You have women and men both, but mainly women from my experience. But they have videos on like people being asleep, people being drunk, people being drugged out, people being slapped around, people being gagged, bound up in ropes. There's all kinds of disgusting stuff out there. And no matter what, even if you're not looking for it, right? You've seen it. Because it's like in the little search tiles and stuff like that as you're going through it, you're going to see it. They're going to hook you just with the thumb tiles, just the little tiles and everything going around, just so you're looking at it. You're not even looking for it. And who knows, right? If we went and looked at all your search results from your internet searches, right? Because God knows everything about us. Every disgusting thing we've done and every disgusting thought we've had that we're like, ooh, I can't go that far. It's all known. The government's got nothing on God. If you think the government's intrusive, you have no idea. God knows everything. So when you die and you take that account of your life, right? That internet search history, it's there. And along with every thought you've ever had. And every dirty thing you've ever looked at. And every dirty thing you've ever done while you were looking at those dirty images. Right? So it's all known. You should know that. Because it's better you feel filthy now. It's better because now you can change it. Right now you have the option to change it. As of today, starting for the rest of your life, you can change it. Once you're dead, it's done. At least this life, right? This body, this soul, everything that's here and now, what you're looking at, what you're experiencing, that's done once you died, right? So then your journey changes. But you won't be able to go back and fix anything you've done. So, I mean, what you do matters, and it's all taken into account. It's not like, oh, God forgot what I did, 2 years ago. No, God didn't forget. God can't forget because God is all-knowing. God knows everything. So God can't forget about what you did. God can forgive you if you repent, stop doing it, never do it again, and try to help people that are having struggles with that, or, try to turn it into a positive, right? Turn your bad history like mine, turn it into a positive and help people with it. Explain to them like, hey, this is how screwed up I was, and I was covered in sin, and this is how I got the sin off my life, and I rekindled the Holy Spirit in my life, and, and now I'm living for God. So you can recycle that dirty, nasty experience and use it for something good. transition. So try to find some way to do that. But yeah, it's not forgotten though. God doesn't forget. God forgives. God doesn't forget. So stop making God have to forgive so much by repenting, stopping your sinning. Pray to God for guidance. So stop. Help people that are maybe having the same issues. Don't do it again. Try to use it as a positive experience for someone. Try to help somebody with it. Try to be God's hands and feet. And pray to God for guidance. And pray to God for forgiveness. Because chances are we all need it. We definitely all need it. So that's it. Lust defiles people forever. Digital record. Yeah. So you're defiling yourself. Absolutely. By doing these kinds of acts on video and doing these things. And then imagine you're causing sin almost for eternity. Because your videos out there that you made and your posts and things like that and the images that you put in people's minds by how scantily clad you were dressed or how provocatively you were doing things, you've stuck that in people's minds. And even if they were to forget one day by turning to the light and living in accordance with God's covenant, even if you were to forget about it, that image you made, it's still out there. People will be seeing those nasty, dirty acts you did forever. Until we purge the internet of all these records. Until all that stuff is deactivated. Purge it. Shut it all down. That way it can't infect anybody more. Because as long as it's out there and available, it will be infecting people every day. Every second, right? We looked at those stats. 20 some odd thousand a second or whatever it was. Imagine how many people are being infected right now. Hooks are being implanted in people right now as you're watching this video. And those hooks will stay in. They're easy to get in because as you're doing those acts and as you're like climaxing or whatever, you're digging those hooks in because it's a positive experience. And go talk to a psychologist, not me, but you're putting positive, not negative, but you're putting hooks in your brain and in your soul. You're dirtying your soul and they'll be there for a long time. It's very difficult to get those out. You have to purify. You have to become like a Puritan, a pure lifestyle. And get all the nastiness out of your life. But the videos, the digital recordings, until we purge them, they're out there. They're working every day, 24 hours a day, defiling people. Filling their mind with disgusting images and acts and things like that. So, degrading treatment, I think we touched on this. So, the actors, if you want to call them that, in these videos, some voluntary, some probably not, degrading things, right? There are multiple people engaged with one person. They are taking bodily fluids and throwing them all over the place. They're gagging people, choking them, beating them, stomping on them. Who knows what else? Blindfold. Every horrible, disgusting thing you would expect to see in hell, you will see in these videos. Just imagine, like, hey, if you went to hell, what do you expect to see besides the flames? Forget the flames. So you go to hell. What do you expect to see? That. I expect to see people getting choked out, gagged, defiled with fluids, raped, attacked while they're sleeping, beaten up, murdered, stabbed, set on fire, boiled. Everything that happens here. That's what I would expect to see in hell. Right? I mean, what else would you expect to see? So, soul mind triggers. We talked about this one. Sin, it rewires your mind to make it dirty. Like, devil, whatever term you like to use, the pit boss, and the folks associated with darkness, right? Absence of light. They want to turn your soul dark. They want to dim your light. Your Holy Spirit, they don't want to see it. It aggravates them. It upsets them. Because for someone who's about the darkness, they know they're not going to get to see God. They're not going home. It's not going to happen. Right? You have a pit for a reason. It's for people that like the pit, If you like the pit, you can stay in the pit. It's an option. But for people that want to go to paradise, and they're all about the light, the Holy Spirit, right? Love and goodwill and all that good stuff, that's light. That's God. That's from God. Pit boss doesn't get to go to paradise. It's not an option. People that align with darkness, which is the absence of light, they don't get to go to paradise because that's full of light. God is light. They don't get that. So they want you to be as dark as possible because they like company. What fun would the pit be if there's nobody here? So they want to rewire your mind to make it dirty. And like we went over those examples, like those word triggers and things like that, you know? Right? Things like this, right? Do you try blowing? Like they're talking about, is it coffee or tea, right? But, you know what I mean? Your mind's going somewhere else. Words aren't the problem. Your dirty mind is. So don't blame the metaphor. Blame your dirty mind. And also actions, right? Seeing people do things or like eating bananas, whatever. Just think about it. Because I was dirty by this place too, and I'm still trying to shake it off. But you just got to think about it. Rape, violence, what would you expect to see in the pit? Well, rape and violence. That's what you'd expect to see. So that's what you see in these videos. Rape, violence, beating people, all that stuff. We talked about it. What would you expect to see in the pit? Things that are unnatural, things that aren't ordained by God, things that weren't designed, like homosexuality. I'm not saying, like I've said before, I'm not saying that homosexuals are bad people. They can be some of the nicest people in the world. Nicest. They go out, they volunteer, they're doing things, they're great to people, they help people, they go in old people's homes, they're doing great things. They're great ambassadors. But unfortunately, they really messed up one aspect. And that's going to be sodomy. And is it natural? Did God intend you to be together in a holy union? No, because you can't have children, so there's no way to be in a holy union. And what would the purpose be other than just companionship, I guess? How are you supposed to, if you do anything sexual, how would you do that without violating sodomy, right? I mean, you're going to have anal, you're going to have oral, right? Well, those are two things you can't do. So what exactly kind of relationship is that? It sounds like you're just friends. Right? You can be friends. There's nothing wrong with being friends. But the sexual stuff, that's not what God designed. It just isn't. Group sex, that is not what God designed. That's an abomination to God. Because that wasn't what God intended for us. We turned a place that could be paradise into a pit. Because we're sinful creatures. Group sex, it goes back to like pornography, right? 4, 5, 6 guys on a girl, vice versa, all kinds of combinations and disgusting things you can think about. So, and they're like wife swapping or husband swap. What is that? Like you see these things, like I'm trying to scroll the news, or I just want the news, and there's like stuff in my feed about wife swapping. I'm looking for international news. What is wife swapping in there for? That's disgusting. You're in a holy union, but then you got some random guy that you're going to like rinse your wife out to. It's gross. It's nasty. You're living like the pit. You're living like you belong here. Don't act like this place unless you really want to stay. So sodomy, anal, oral, both. We covered that. It's one of the huge problems you're going to have with sexuality, homosexuality. You don't have any options there. So if you want to be friends, that's great. And like I said, you can do nice things, but some things you just can't do. Doesn't mean you're hated. Doesn't mean you can't change. Doesn't mean there's forgiveness for everybody, right? Lots of people have committed these mistakes. These sodomy issues, the anal, the oral, a lot of people have made those mistakes. The key, you repent. I'm sorry, God, I screwed up, more than likely, again, and I will never do it again. And then you never do it. That's the difficult part, but that's the part you have to do. You never do it again, and then use that experience, right? Use whatever that sin is and try to recycle it and make it useful to someone else to help them in their problem. Because a lot of people, if you're trying to like counsel people, a lot of people, they won't listen to you if you haven't dealt with it. Like some people like go to like alcohol counseling and stuff like that. It never would have worked for me. I'm better on my own. But a lot of people, like, they like to talk about it with people. And if they're alcohol counselor, I used to watch a lot of those videos. They had those series and they would try to help people. What do they call it? Intervention or something like that. And it seemed like they related better to a person, like a counselor who had had problems in the past. Like a person's like, hey, I was an alcoholic. I did drugs. I did all this sex stuff. Like, but then they turned the corner and they were like good and they were fixed. And then they could help other people that had those issues. And it seemed like those drug addicts and alcoholics and stuff, it seemed like they responded better to the person that had been, that had those issues. As opposed to like some counselor who comes in and is like, hey, I've never drank. I've never done drugs. I've never had sexual deviancy issues. I've never done any of that. But I'm going to tell you how to live your life because I understand you. I understand the problems you're going through, even though I've never experienced them. Even I can see how that wouldn't make any sense. And I noticed it from watching these shows, right? These intervention shows, I think that's what they call them, where they would go and they'd sit them in a room and say, hey, if you don't do this, this is going to happen. But it seemed like they responded better when the person who was giving the information had those issues and then overcome them. And once they'd overcome the issues, it seemed like they respected them more and they had more like credibility or whatever, street cred, because they had gone through those issues. Now, if you'd sat down with someone who said, I've never drank, I've never smoked, never done drugs, I've never, vandalized anything, I've never, beat anybody up or whatever. Like, if you're trying to help someone with those issues and you've never done it, you can. There's nothing wrong with that. And you should definitely try if you've never done it. That's awesome. Hey, congrats. You're crushing it. You're doing great. But for a lot of people, they may not respect you as much or appreciate your advice as much as someone who's like had those issues and then fixed them. I think for some people that has more impact. If you've never, if you've had those issues and overcome them, it kind of gives them hope like, hey, I had those issues. I was screwed up just like you and I overcame them. I got over them. I moved on. So I think that's good sometimes. And that's why you have to recycle those bad experiences and make them positive. Turn your sin into something that can help out God's kingdom, right? Take your dirty, disgusting sin and wash it, get that light fired back up and then use that experience to help people. Trans and cross-dressing, no. We've already talked about the homosexuality, the trans, it's not as designed at all. It's a no. Destroys marriages and relationships, 100%. Because you're going to start dirty talking to your wife, your husband, whatever. You're going to expect your husband or wife to start doing some of these things that you've seen, like in these videos and things. So you're going to basically want to turn your husband or wife into a porn actress or actor, right? You're going to want to do things. You're going to listen to the advice of some of these sex therapists who are like, oh, you should spice it up. Well, why do you need to spice it up? Spice it up to what? Like, what kind of standard are you trying to get to? Are you trying to turn your bedroom into some porn set? Is that what you're trying to spice it up to? You only need to spice it up when maybe you're having like natural relations with your husband or wife. But in the back of your mind, you're thinking, oh, wow, I remember when I was sitting at home and I was watching these videos and I had my, a 3D headset on and I was seeing all these crazy sexual things going on, people swinging from the ceiling and doing all kinds of disgusting stuff. Well, yeah, you'll need to spice it up then because your mind is polluted. It's disgusting. The act is pleasurable in the confines of a marriage by itself, the way it's designed to be. There was never any need to get fancy and try to use holes designed to eat and get rid of food for things other than they were designed, right? That's why it's a sin. That's why it's not allowed, because it wasn't designed that way. And it's supposed to be done within a marriage. So if you're needing to spice up your marriage, it's probably because your mind is dirty. It's probably because you've been watching a lot of things that you shouldn't be watching, including not even just porn, just movies, just culture, pit culture, right? When you have culture born in a pit, well, guess what? It's dark. It's full of objectifying people, sexualizing people, not taking into account their gift, their soul, their gift, right? Their light. It's not taking that into account. You're just thinking about the outwardly appearance, what it looks like, and the debaucherous things you'd like to do with it, and the sexualized things that are in your mind. So chances are you might need to spice it up, or you might think you need to, because of things that you're watching, because you're seeing evil and you're hearing evil and you're involved in it. You're in that scene, right? You don't need to match the culture of a pit. You're trying to match the culture of paradise. And if we're going to fix this place, you're going to have to live like, you're going to have to be different. You're going to have to be like the Amish people. You're going to have to like reject the world as it stands today, right? You're going to have to live a pure life, pure, right? What do they say? Like pure as the driven snow, some term like that, right? Purity. You're going to have to be a Puritan, like pure. You're going to have to be holy and pure, which is not like this place, unfortunately. So we're all going to have to change before we get our new earth. Because you can't build on this foundation. The foundation of this place is sin. It's sexualization, it's murder, it's arson, it's theft, it's killing people, it's greed, it's lust, it's everything else, right? There you go. There's your culture. There it is right there. You can add murder and a couple other things. Yeah. So, yeah, the foundation here needs to be completely redone. You need to be pure and holy. Literally, you're striving to be holy. That's what you want to be. And that's a far cry from where we are today. So, what else we got? Promiscuity. You heard the term like body count for people. And then there's studies that say like, the more partners you have, the less likely you are to find a partner you like. Well, yeah, because your ideals, like who you are, you're out there chasing ass, basically. You're out there trying to be like, oh, I like this person because you're objectifying. Like, oh, I want to be with that person. I want to have sex with that person's body. That's how you're looking at it. Like, that's a body. That's organs and stuff. I just want to have sex with that body. So you're going to have probably a lot of partners. You might even stack up some STDs. Who knows? Your idea of a relationship is totally just lost. You're supposed to find someone that you really love, someone that you can laugh with and have fun with, and you have similar hobbies, and you really care about them, and you get along with their family as best you can, and just a really great fit. Look for that perfect person for you, not the person who you're just in love with their body, because guess what? Our bodies are going to wither away, right? These are term limited, thankfully. So, find someone that you want to grow old with. That might sound like a little corny, right? Find someone you want to grow old with. It's true. You're going to be married forever, right? You're not going to get divorced. Hopefully. Shouldn't. Unless they're beating you and things like that. But it's a different story. If you find the perfect person, they won't be the person beating you, hopefully. So find someone you want to grow old with, that you have, hobbies in common with, and, you religiously you align. Make sure. Religiously, you got to be in alignment with God. And pray. Pray to God and say, hey, God, is this the person for me? Because if not, take him out of my life. I don't know how you're going to do it, but if this person is not the person for me, take him out. Get him out of my life. However you do that, just get him out. Because you don't want to marry the wrong person. Because that's someone you want to grow old with. And maybe you decide to have kids, and maybe you decide to do things in the bedroom to have those kids. But, you shouldn't be doing things outside of marriage that are going to get you in trouble and change who you are. And remove like the sanctity of marriage, so that one day when you get married and you finally decide you want to have kids and stuff like that, and you all have that holy union the way it's designed to happen, then it'll be beautiful and amazing. Then you'll have that great life together, and you'll never get divorced, and maybe you have kids, maybe you don't, it's up to you. But you'll be doing things as God designed. Not how you want. So that's it. That's it. I don't want to recap everything, but after describing all this and, going through this and seeing how disgustingly dirty our minds are, just understand that we, including myself, right, we have grown up in a pit that has a lot of darkness in it. It's full of sin. It's infected us. We're covered in it. And when you've been covered in sin so long, you can't see it anymore. Because you've been living outside of God's guidance for so long that when God comes back and says, hey, this is what purity looks like, I need you to be pure, it seems like an alien. You're like, what? What are you talking about? Because we have lived here for so long in this place that we're dark, just like this place. Different degrees for different people, right? Not everyone, but it's, various. But if we're going to fix this pit, we all have to become pure. And we have to get rid of, I don't care about your personal freedoms when it comes to things like pornography. Because if you want paradise, you have to get rid of pornography. It cannot exist. I don't care what rights you think you have to run a business. In paradise, there is no sin business. You can have sin businesses in a pit. Now, if you like a pit, well, keep doing what you've been doing. Doing a great job. If you want a pit, commoditize, right? Turn sin into a business. That's what you get in the pit. You think you're going to get that in heaven? You want to go to heaven and watch porn? Never going to happen. No, you'll have to be here to do that. You're not going to heaven to watch porn. Make porn, consume porn, dress like, dress inappropriately, provocatively. No. You do that in the pit. You don't do that in paradise. So, if we want to change this place, if we want to turn this pit into a paradise, we're all going to have to get pure. We're all going to have to go into the light of purity in God's guidance, and you're going to have to shake off all that darkness on you. All that sin that snuffed out your light, you're going to have to get it all off. And when you get all that sin off of your soul, right, your Holy Spirit will start to burn. And then you'll be in alignment with God. And then we'll turn this pit into a paradise. But it's never going to happen when you're selling sin. Never. So, selling alcohol, selling sex, right? All the sins that we do, like selling drugs, all this stuff. Look, that's pit work. That's not paradise work. So you need to talk to your leaders of this place, many of whom are, well, right? When in Rome. So they're all sinners too. But we all need to individually work on getting pure. And once we do, we need to get leaders who are pure, right? People that don't sin. Our leaders need to be sinless. When we get sinless leaders, organizers, whatever you want to call them, we'll fix this place. But the best thing you can do is start off with you. So each of us, me, you, all of us, we all stop sinning. We all get pure and holy. Your goal is holy. It's not money, it's not fame, it's not power, it's not sex, it's not nothing else. Your goal in life is holy. That's what you want. And once we're all holy, we'll turn this pit into a paradise. And then once our leaders are holy, garbage like this, like pornography, will be gone. It will be banned, right? You won't have web hosting for it. We'll have to figure it out globally. I understand that, but we can block it regionally, things like that. Like this will be gone. We won't have trash like this. We're not going to have trash. We're not going to have horrible music. We're not going to have horrible movies. We're not going to have the horrible culture that we do. That's pit. We have pit culture. So if we want paradise, we're going to have to build it. But the only way you can do that is by starting with you. Me, you, start with you. Start today. Repent to God and say, hey, I've been living like a pit boss and I'm ready to become pure. And I want to get all this sin off my life and I need your help. So starting today, get holy and let's turn this pit into a paradise.